What's going on, everybody? This is John Jake Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the NCSL Dynasty here on NCAA 14, and also featuring that college football revamp as well. We are closing in at the end of season number 4, at least that regular season portion. Moreover, we are in the final month of the regular season. Conference races around the country, they are starting to heat up more than that barbecue chicken that's stuck in your oven right now. We have a big time episode coming your way shortly, as we have 16 nationally televised games coming your way, as well as other studio updates and other box scores around the country that require your attention. This should be a fun one coming your way shortly, and I hope you stick around for the whole thing. But if you are as excited as I am right about now, I need you guys to go ahead and do me a massive favor. Go ahead and smack that like button for me real quick, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. And without any further doubt, let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Alright boys, so first and foremost, I do apologize if that intro did send you to Valhalla, but if you made it to this part, the audio does get cleaned up in future episodes, so apologize that you do have to deal with that, but I will not apologize for really the great action that we have in front of us here today. Great football action coming your way. How about we start over on the West Coast? We got Utah taking on Colorado State in a weekday action ball game. Utah trying to prove that they should still remain in that top 25, even though they just lost their first game of the entire season. But it's not looking good for the Utah Utes as we get late into the third quarter. Colorado State, they still have the lead. I'm pretty sure Utah, they just jumped off sides, and it might not even matter. We might still get a touchdown for the Rams, and it is exactly what we thought it was going to be. It was an offsides on Chris Dean, and Utah is barbecue chicken. So after starting the year 8-0, we will see the Utah Utes drop their second game in a row in this game. But we have a bunch more games that are happening around the country. How about we show a little bit of love to the Duke Blue Devils? PJ McNair, your head coach there for the Duke Blue Devils, embroiled in a rivalry game against NC State, trying to get Duke one step closer to bowl eligibility. It would be the first time in his tenure that Duke would be eligible for a bowl game if they can reach that 6-win milestone. So it's been a long build, but they're starting to get on that right track here a little bit. And early on, it's working pretty well for the Duke Blue Devils. They take an early 10-7 lead. But Blake Fallon, he's a certified bad man. He knows a thing or two about trying to get his receivers involved, and Blake Fallon, one of the underrated quarterbacks in the ACC, and we just kind of see what we're talking about with that command of the offense. NC State will end up retaking the lead, so put some pressure on that Duke offense. We'll see what Sid can do here as he goes ahead and hands it off of the gut for Vince Justice, who nearly pick up the first down for the Blue Devils. Good running for Vince Justice so far today, averaging 6 yards a carry. We'll see if they go back to him. They don't. It's a play action over to the left-hand side, and it's caught by Andrew Austin, who got it a little bit later than anticipated, but still makes the catch regardless. So now we see the Duke Blue Devils in NC State Wolfpack territory here on the road. We'll see if they can cash in as Silva will drop back. He's got a clean pocket. Gonna fire deep downfield, and it's a Moss. It is a Moss moment. Duke is gonna score, and Sid Silva will have a key passing touchdown here with 1:29 left to play in this first half. But doesn't leave too much time for the Wolfpack, led by Blake Fallon. Fallon's gonna have a clean pocket of his own, and will throw it out to Ken Grant for the first down. Spotting those retro helmets. I really like the NC State jerseys here in this particular game. NC State still has a chance, though, to also retake the lead themselves if they want to do so. As you probably heard that post about Evan's food coma trying to kick in, but you know, we just don't want that to happen here. We don't want that to happen. We have a lot of good action here as Blake Fallon looks over to the left-hand side. It's going to dump it off to the receiver, and his receiver is going to be able to get into the red zone. The Wolfpack are bound to strike again. Can they claw back into the lead, though, on this 1st and goal? Fountain has some time and looks over the middle, finds Mike Trey Engine for the end zone. Touchdown, Wolfpack. Mama, there goes that man as Blake Fountain leads a 2-minute drill of his own and gives the Wolfpack the lead. But we get into the 4th quarter, and Blake Fountain's going to have to create a little bit more magic as they'll throw over to the right-hand side. Blake Fountain's going to find Ken Grant with 5.5 minutes left to play. But Sid Silva can't shut the door here as Silva's going to hand it off to the tailback, trying to run some time off the clock, and we almost even score in the process. NC State has to use their 2nd timeout. And a couple of plays later, Silva hands it off one more time, finds Vince Johnson in the end zone, and should be game over, right? Well, you would think that would be the case, but NC State does quickly drive down the length of the field, has a quick touchdown strike to Ken Grant once again, and now things get real interesting now, because if they can get this onside kick, they only need to get to a field goal, and sure enough, NC State is going to recover the onside kick. Just terrible luck for the Duke Blue Devils in the onside formation, and they don't pick it up. They can't execute. So now Blake Fountain just needs a couple of 1st downs to possibly be in field goal range, but they got to pick this one up first. Looking over to the left-hand side, goes to Ken Grant one more time, but doesn't understand where he is on the field. He loses track of where he is on the field, and that's a tough way to go out. Duke wins, but just barely. They got lucky. Meanwhile, a team that might not need nearly as much luck is the Seminoles of Florida State. Florida State is well entrenched in that race to get one of the at-large bids into the college football playoff, as they're firmly behind Miami for that Sunshine Divisional title race. So, Florida State, they basically need to win out if they want to go to the college football playoff and ensure that they get one of those 2 automatic spots. An 11-1 record should accomplish that. But here we are in the 2nd half, and this is still a close score. Jonathan Smart is going to score here, but this is still a very tight game here in the 3rd quarter. UCF can definitely pull this off, especially since we happen to find ourselves here in the bounce house. However, in the 4th quarter, Florida State up by 4, and the Seminoles will take over at the proper time, making it more clear that UCF just cannot hang on that same football field as the Seminoles can, even though they are in the same state, not too far away from each other, as Florida State does score another touchdown, enough to put it away. But hey, let's get some style points in there just in case. Travis Beach runs it into the end zone yet again, so it looks like a blowout on paper, but make no mistake, UCF was in this game until that final quarter of action where they ran out of juice. Speaking of juice, we'll see which team has a little bit more juice, as the Eagles are going to try to suck those juices out of the orange, as now we have a tied ball game between these two squads late in the 1st quarter of action, as Syracuse, still looking for his first points of the game, is going to set up the halfback screen almost to perfection. It's going to get hit late, but Elton McRae does move the sticks for that Syracuse orange squad. And now we have ourselves a goal line situation. Looking over to the middle of the field, it's going to look and find Jeremy Golden in the end zone for the touchdown. Syracuse will score there, but they do fail to get the extra point. The extra point is missed. So instead of this possibly being tied following the Boston College touchdown, even though they've seen the end zone a similar amount of times, Boston College is actually going to take the lead, at least briefly. But 8 seconds left here in this 1st half. Syracuse has a chance to create some momentum into the locker room, and sure enough, he puts the ball on the ground. Boston College is going to recover said fumble as well. Very fortunate that Boston College's kicker is very mid, because man, that should have been free points for the Boston College Eagles. And so even though Syracuse has turned the ball over a lot today, that's the 4th turnover that we've seen Syracuse have, they're still in this game because Boston College is just not taking advantage of the opportunity that's being bestowed upon them. So, Syracuse is still down by 8, 5 minutes left to play. We'll see if this Boston College defense, which has played extremely well today, can they hold up yet again. First and goal coming up as they try to set up play action. Looks over and finds Jawan Holland for the touchdown. Extra points have not been working, so they're going to go for 2. They have to go for 2 if they want to tie this game, but runs out of time though, and so Syracuse still needs a little bit of lady luck on their side in order to come away with a W. They might get it here as that is caught. The coverage was pretty good, but Kyle Jackson is still able to find a way to come down with it. And so it sets up a short touchdown run by Paul Harvey. Orange are going to be up by 4, but they will go for the 2-point conversion to make it up by 6, but it's no good. No good. So Boston College still needs to drive down the length of the field. Don't need to rely on the kicker, and this could do it. A man who's wide butt naked open, and Ricky Cunningham puts it on the money. But is there too much time though? Minute left to play. 3 timeouts. A lot of time to work through in college football as he's going to line up and throw down the left-hand side. He is going all the way. DJ Johnson finds the end zone. Touchdown, Orange. And it turns out this Syracuse squad has the juice after all. They pull out a gutsy victory on the road against Boston College, winning at the very last minute. So we got some studio updates coming around, and oh my, Rice goes down, Food gets pummeled, Tulsa gets a big upset victory. So that could create some chaos in your top 25. Of course, they're not the only top 5 team that's playing here today. How about Miami? Miami going on the road to play against a solid, not a liquid or a gas, but a solid Florida Atlantic team. Miami, of course, one of those teams that's been very busy for the course of the season. They have not had a single bye, at least not yet this year. So Miami's going to drop back the pass, tries to throw over to the right-hand side. It gets intercepted. A bad throw by Walker. And Rodney Walker is beside himself. But Miami will quickly recover. Florida Atlantic cannot do anything with that first turnover. Second turnover, on the other hand, it happens again. 2 turnovers for Miami on its first couple of drives. Not the start that the number 2 team in the country is necessarily looking for right now. So, with that said, Florida Atlantic's going to look to take advantage of that particular turnover. They have a chance to do just that, as Florida Atlantic does find the red zone and showing how to take care of the ball in the red zone as well, as Devin Mackey is going to tiptoe his way in, and FAU quickly takes a 14-0 lead. Miami finds itself on upset alert, but finally this Miami team starts to get it together here a little bit, as Rodney Walker will find the end zone. That's a touchdown for the Hurricanes. Can they keep up the consistency though? Walker again with another red zone shot, fires over the middle and finds another receiver for the touchdown. It's a tie ball game, but really this should be a dominating lead for the Hurricanes right now. Instead, FAU had a chance to take the lead. Instead, Miami is going to be set up with its best field position of the entire day here in Boca Raton, Florida, and they're using it to set up a screen for the junior custom tire oil, Smoochie Wallace, who sets up the Hurricanes in the red zone again. Rodney looking to run. He's going to make it into the end zone untouched, and Miami does find a way to score once again, and the Miami Hurricanes will take a 7-point lead. Meanwhile, 21-14 is your score as Walker throws over to the right-hand side. He'll pick up a gain of 5. So now, 2nd and 5. Actually, no, 3rd and 5 coming up, actually, as Miami looks to score yet again. Walker looks over the middle on the slant and finds Cedric Ward for yet another touchdown. Miami is simply rolling now, and FAU just looking for a chance to find any sort of momentum. I mean, it's hard. It is absolutely hard to be up 14-0 at one point and then to give up 35 unanswered afterwards. It's demoralizing. It's certainly a demoralizing effort, but FAU does score in their next drive, so keeps their hopes alive a little bit. But the fact of the matter is that FAU defensively, they just aren't doing enough. They're just not showing enough toughness, and so it's a rough time. It's a rough time right now for FAU, but a team that certainly has some pride. They're certainly not going to quit by any means. Is now 2nd and inches coming up. Quarterback's going to line in the shotgun. It's going to be a read option kept by Devin Mackey, and Devin Mackey will punch it in. A touchdown for the Eagles of Florida Atlantic, or the Owls, I should say. But not enough, though, as Miami will leave Boca Raton with yet another victory in their column. Meanwhile, we go to a completely different environment. Notre Dame taking on Illinois. And you would think that these two teams and the two teams that we just saw play, you would think that they were playing a completely different sport right now, because here we are, almost a full half of football that's been played so far. No one has scored. Literally, not a single soul has scored thus far. It's a sickos committee type of game, as we will see a Hail Mary before we go into the half, and sure enough, well, it does end up getting intercepted. Looks like that could have been caught at the 1 yard line, and if that was, it would have been considered a safety, but the refs do disagree. So for us to see any scoring, we actually do have to wait until we get to this second half of action, and we're finally starting to see the scoring heat up a little bit warmer than what it has to be on the field right now. Got snow coming down and everything. Certainly a winter blizzard here on Illinois' campus right now. But Notre Dame will finally get its scoring streak busted, as the Fighting Irish will finally find the end zone with 5 minutes left to play here in this third quarter of action. So we now have a tie ball game on our hands again. 1st and 10 for the Fighting Illini, as they'll run it up to gut for Alex Walker. Alex Walker trying to get something going for Illinois. We'll see if they go back to him again. A few plays later, it looks like, yes, they're going back to Walker on the screen, and nobody was there. Nobody was there to cover it. It's the perfect call against the blitz, and we saw that play out in real time. Illinois is going to go ahead. They will take the lead. And in a game like this, where points are truly a premium to have, we might have a real chance to see the door shut. Even though this does only make it a 2-score game, it just feels like so much more. And it was the case after all. Illinois beats Notre Dame 21-7, as Illinois makes the case to be ranked again. Meanwhile, we go over to Annapolis, Maryland, where they will host the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. This can have some Conference USA implications, as this could help solidify who could possibly challenge Army for that Union Divisional title within the Conference USA. We know Penn State is certainly in that picture still, but is there a third team that could possibly swoop in and play that dark horse kind of role? Whoever wins that game could certainly fit the bill. Navy does find itself down by 7, but this is not your daddy's Navy team. This is not even your granddaddy's Navy team, as Navy, dare I say it, has deviated away from that triple option. So, different offense for Navy. It's working somewhat well. It's keeping them in this game against what is a good Rutgers team. You don't have to be ranked to be considered a good team after all, as they'll throw over to the right-hand side. Finds his receiver. That's good for a gain of 7. Makes this third down a lot more manageable, where Navy actually spreading out the field and letting this quarterback go to work. Spencer Grant, nobody even touches the guy, and that's a touchdown for the midshipmen. However, they don't go for the 2-point conversion, so it's just a 6-point lead. Rutgers can tie it with just this throw alone. Instead, puts it on the ground, and that means Navy is going to recover it. So now, less than 3 minutes left to play in the first half. Navy cannot take advantage of the turnover forced. So we still have the same score, and we do have a record breaking. It's Mike Reed, who has the most career receptions since when Mohamed Sanu was on that campus, as a great Bengal player as well, for those that follow the NFL. But Mike Reed could be considered one of the best receivers in Rutgers history, especially if he continues his pace for the rest of the season, as that will eventually lead to a Fred Lester touchdown. It allows the Scarlet Knights to take the lead for now, but I'm showing something special teams related. And if I'm showing something special teams related, something special is about to go down. And it almost did. I thought that man was going to be gone for the races. Does get knocked down at about the 45-yard line, but a good spot for Navy as they try to retake the lead before half. Spencer dumps it off to the tailback on the halfback screen, stays on his feet, and doesn't get out of bounds until he crosses that 15-yard line. The midshipmen also have one timeout to play with, so they don't have to pass the ball all the time, and with good reason. Because Navy, hey, even though they don't run it like they used to, it's in that DNA, though. They know how to run that football now. Let's keep it real. So with that said, Navy will take the lead into halftime, but we still have a very competitive game between these two teams. We are in for a treat, I would say, up here in Annapolis, Maryland, as Rutgers will score there to keep things interesting. Still down by a couple of points, but hey, certainly keeping it interesting here as Chip Arlington gives Rutgers the lead late in this third quarter of action. But they will see a 2-point conversion done. We'll see if Rutgers can convert it. They do. That was a tight window to Barnes. Oh, man. Not a lot of space to fit that pass through, but they found a way to do exactly that anyways. However, fiery last play of the third quarter. Spencer Grant is going to find the end zone for the midshipmen. And yeah, man, they are actually going to get a field goal with less than 3 minutes to go as well. They missed the extra point, interesting enough, but dude makes the field goal, and that's how Navy wins this one. A barn burner in Annapolis. So, that being said, we'll see if we can have some more chaos here, some more potentially competitive games, as Ohio State now travels to Kent, Ohio, just outside the Cleveland area, and Ohio State puts the ball on the ground. The Golden Flashes will take over at about midfield. Is the unthinkable about to happen? Is Kent State going to take a lead against their big brothers in the Buckeye State? And they do! Jason Johnson with the strike, and Kent State has the lead against the number 15 team in America. So, second quarter comes around. Golden Flashes still have the lead. Can Brooke Hicks finally start cooking? It's been an up and down season for the Buckeyes, but maybe we're starting to see them wake up here late in this first half. Hicks is going to let it fly down the right hand side, and it's a wide butt naked open for Ian Snyder. Touchdown, Ohio State, and the Buckeyes will retake the lead. Less than 3 minutes left to play in the first half. Golden Flashes, they cannot respond, so they give the ball back to Ohio State. We'll see what they can do with this next drive. Will be yet another successful 2-minute drill for Brooks Hicks. We'll just have to wait and see, but we'll see him line up in the shotgun. He's got some time to get this ball off over to right-hand corner. Does find Ian Snyder yet again. And at this point, they are going to go ahead and run their no-huddle offense, trying to save that timeout as long as possible. Hicks got time, throws over to the left-hand side, finds Anton Samuel for the first down yet again. The Buckeyes are certainly on the move and trying to end with 2 touchdowns in the last 2 drives, and will accomplish just that, as that will be a score. So it seems like all might be right in the world. Ohio State starting to take control yet again. This is the moment where maybe we see this offense wake up for the long term. We know that this defense is one of the most competitive defenses in college football. We know their defense will keep them in any game for the most part that they play in. But at the same time, offenses let them down sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you. If Ohio State's gonna win a national championship, they're gonna have to have more consistency offensively. Maybe this is the time where we look back where we see that flip switched. Now, we got into our 3:30 games that we have going on around the country. And an interesting one for sure. We got California going to take on the Oregon Ducks. Kind of a tale of two teams here. Cal just trying to win in order to remain alive for bowl eligibility. Did not think we would even say that when we are talking about, teams that could like disappoint. You would think they would be unranked with the talent that's on this roster, but to be this close to not even being bowl eligible, disgusting stuff. Disgusting stuff right now. But Oregon, on the other hand, trying to bounce back. They went 5-7 last year. They already hit 5 wins on the season. So, if Oregon can win this game, they're going to be bowl eligible. They are certainly going to be bowl eligible, but Cal will not make it that easy on them. At least not at all. John Keyes is going to find the end zone for the California Bears. And from that point on, Cal looks like they are trying to silence this crowd here at Eugene, as we have yet another touchdown throw. Cal takes control in the first half, and it gets to a point where you wonder if Oregon made the right hire at the offensive coordinator spot for Remy Natalia's. But Oregon answers back, and they answer back emphatically as 2nd and long, looking to the right-hand side, finds a receiver but is not wearing a Cal jersey. Oregon might take this all the way, and they will. Touchdown, Oregon, and the Ducks are just going to pull within 6 points. It's going to be that close, and it might be a photo finish after all. Thomas Gibson leads the Oregon Ducks into the red zone, and he'll take it in all by himself, giving Oregon the lead. So remember, Cal was up 27-7, and now all of a sudden, Oregon, if they can score again, they can take the lead. We are talking about taking the lead with less than 3 minutes left to play. And this run by Matt Rhodes is certainly going to help. First time he touches the ball all day. It comes in a critical moment. So it sets up Oregon to try to maybe run a little bit of clock off, because as you can see by what Cal's been doing, Oregon's having a hard time stopping Cal as of late. So get some time off the clock, and they do what they're supposed to do, getting the touchdown. And that means that Oregon takes the lead, and they just need one stop. But before we worry about that one stop, though, his boys are going to go for it here on the 2-point conversion, make it a field goal game, and Reggie Patterson is going to get it. So Oregon's up by a few points, but Cal has all of their timeouts. We'll see how they play this out. 3rd and short coming up. Going to look over to the left-hand side. Got a receiver. Finds Fred Ferguson, who also gets out of bounds as well. Saves those timeouts for now. Their next play after the initial completion, quarterback will drop back yet again. This time a little bit more time, and throws over the middle to find Chuck Dawson. They used their first timeout this time around. After a couple of failed plays, one in which they had to use a timeout, Cal only has one timeout remaining. So if they get first downs, or if they even complete the pass in bounds, we should see them go ahead and use that no huddle the rest of the way. Can the Oregon defense hold? Looking over the middle, finds a receiver. It's Zach Ingram for the first down. But now getting to those last few seconds. Oregon with 12 seconds to play. Looking for Lance Morgan. Got all the time in the world. Looks over to right hand side. It's caught. Chuck Dawson comes down with it. And Cal rips the hearts of Eugene, Oregon out of their chest. And Cal remains live for bowl season for now. So we have some more games obviously going your way. How about we check in on a team that's actually ranked in that top 25? Yes, the Arkansas Razorbacks are looking to cook as they are taking on South Carolina on the road. The Gamecocks have been down this year yet again. But what we have seen from South Carolina is that even though this is a lost season, it seems like for the Gamecocks compared to what their expectations are, the guys on this team are still playing extremely hard. They're playing extraordinarily hard. And they're giving Arkansas some tough fits here. Arkansas is going to go into halftime. They're down. And this game actually remains close the entire time. But in that fourth quarter, eventually that dam was going to burst. Andrew Montgomery is going to score. And then a few minutes later, Arkansas gets another red zone opportunity. Runs it up the left-hand side. And finds that end zone yet again. Arkansas scores. And you know what? They might be feeling a little spicy. So how about a little bit of style points? You know, got to throw some style points on. Always sport in the college athletic sphere where like style points actually matter. Like you can't just beat a team. You got to beat teams in a pretty way, in a convincing way. We saw this with the Florida State situation in real life play out. But Arkansas finds a way to win, 41-31, sets up a showdown with LSU. But before we worry about any of that stuff, we are blessed with a couple of rivalry games here. We got the Battle of the Brothers for BYU and Utah State. And then, of course, Bedlam. Can't forget about Bedlam. Let's jump back over to that West Coast real quick, because we saw Utah lost earlier in this episode. So if BYU can do what, frankly, they're supposed to do, and beat Utah State, one of the worst teams in America right now, then we'll see BYU take control of that Desert Division, and suddenly we could possibly see BYU in the driver's seat to go to the Mountain West Championship game. That is all in the cards right now for this BYU squad. Also, they're looking to try and get ranked into the top 25 as well, and at first they take it seriously. They really do. When I saw this first half of action unfold right in front of my eyes, I thought that we would legitimately see BYU come on out, and I thought this was going to be one of those games where we were going to see that Super Sim go down. But Utah State, 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, we do see them settle in, and finally with 6 minutes left to play in the game, Utah State is finally going to score. Troy Mitchell able to work his way into the end zone, makes it a 2-score game. But then after a turnover by BYU, Utah State gets set up again. And then all of a sudden, a game that we thought was going to be super simmed turns into a battle. One that BYU prevails, but it's not the complete game that the Cougars were wanting. That's for sure. But we do have Bedlam, and what a surprise! Snow in Bedlam. What is actually happening right now? I figured it would be too warm in the state of Oklahoma to ever have snow. But for those of you that are from the state of Oklahoma, let me know in the comments section if snow is a more common occurrence than, you know, maybe what is perceived, right? But Oklahoma, ranked number 21 in the nation, taking on Oklahoma State. And for the Cowboys, this is a must-win. 3-6, or actually 3-5. You don't want to get the 3-6 here. You're taking on TCU next week. TCU also trying to prove that we should belong in that conference championship title as well. Oklahoma right in it, though, for that Alamo divisional race. It's still very close, though. 17-14 is your score as Oklahoma drops back. We have a little bit of lag here. I'm surprised that it got a little bit laggy there. This was not something that happens very often. Wanted to show you that catch, though, for sure, though, because it does set up this touchdown run by Daryl Ashley. Daryl Ashley will score for the Sooners. They will narrowly win Bedlam. A very close game in this rivalry. But we do have a couple more studio updates around the country. USF gets bowl eligible. They beat Coastal Carolina 41-20. Georgia Tech improves their chances as well. They beat Georgia Southern by 7 points. Good Peach Division battle game. TCU, though, we were just talking about TCU. They go down to North Texas 34-21. So that could open things up in that Alamo division after all. But we now head into that thumbnail game that you probably saw when you clicked on this video anyways, Auburn is taking on Georgia. Georgia is undefeated. They're ranked number 3 in the entire country right now. And here we are in the first quarter. Georgia looking to knot things up. And they eventually will. They eventually will with Devin Taylor. Devin Taylor will find the end zone for the Georgia Bulldogs. And we got a tie ball game on our hands for now. That being said, later on in the second quarter, we got a little bit of play action from Frederick Mueller. And Frederick Mueller will find his outlet to pick up a few more yards, make this third down a lot more manageable. One that FM is going to find as he fires a dart to Todd Neely. He's going to help set up a goal line opportunity, where a couple of plays later, Devin Taylor gets the sweep to the right, and it's going to follow his blocks into the end zone. That makes it their second score of the day. So, Georgia starts to expand their lead a little bit, but Auburn, they got themselves a nice little running back. Ricky Bobby Jr. get a nice little jump move in as well. Ricky Bobby's been held pretty quiet all evening, I should say. This is being one of the later games in this episode. But Ricky Bobby goes to work on this particular drive. And the way that he's been running, you got to reward him. No, they don't. Brian Nichols keeps it instead. And they'll even go for the 2-point conversion. See if they actually get this 2-point conversion or not. They do. And Auburn's only down by 15. Again, another one of those games where we truly thought that we could be seeing a super sim. Nah, Auburn is looking to storm back, and it's working. It's actually working. 2-point conversion here. This is a 7-point game all of a sudden. They're trusting the analytics, and the analytics do work in their favor to get the 2-point conversion. And while we wait for the end of this game to happen, we get more studio updates around the nation. Washington and Fresno State were in for a dogfight. High-scoring game. Washington does end up prevailing, though, 52-47. So Fresno State will not be experiencing any bowl action, at least not anytime soon. But Georgia does prevail in that bowl game against Auburn. They do win 36-23, being your final score. But we only have a couple more games left in this episode, and we have number 1 USC, and then we also have a key battle in that Pac-12 conference. Actually, both these games are Pac-12 conference games. One game having more implications than the other, obviously. USC's just got to do what they're supposed to do. You know, beat Stanford. And Stanford, on the other hand, they're going to come in hungry for this particular matchup, because if they don't win today, they can't go to a bowl game either. So Stanford needs this win, but they just didn't have it today. Stanford's going to fall way short. USC wins with ease, 44-10 being your final score. However, this game has a little bit more implications attached to it, and it's for multiple reasons. One, this has a big impact on the at-large title race, right? Because UCLA has a chance to catch USC, but Hawaii is out of the conference title race for all intents and purposes, right? So Hawaii, however, if they win out, they can still, possibly get an at-large bid into the college football playoff. UCLA, on the other hand, if they lose another game, their playoff chances are done. And as the defending national champion, if you don't make it to the college football playoff the next year, that would be a rough one. That would be a rough pill to swallow as well. It's not like having those teams that, are supposed to go, an X amount of distance, most to make a deep run, and then fall short. I've seen it firsthand. But Hawaii, on the other hand, they're coming in maybe as an underdog, but they're coming in hungry. They're absolutely coming in hungry, as they want to prove to the nation that this Hawaii team is deserving of a playoff appearance. But you can't throw those. You can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that. LaRue Martin is going to throw an interception late in the first quarter, and UCLA gets an easy opportunity to score. but they missed the field goal. So both teams not really playing at that tremendously high level right now. Hawaii is still up 10-0 though, but I don't know if that's going to last forever, as again, Mike Pierre throws another interception. That's the thing with Mike Pierre. He has not played very well in these like top 25 matchups. First against like USC, and then last week we saw them play against Washington as well. If anything, the defense for Hawaii has been keeping them in this a whole lot more, as Kim Miyachi is going to get intercepted by Mike Utley, and Utley nearly takes it back to the crib. Good effort though by Kobayashi to actually bring him down and staying with the play, because Hawaii does not take advantage either. So both teams turned the ball over tremendously, but eventually one team was going to figure it out, right? One of these teams had to come out and figure it out. I think Hawaii is starting to do that. First and goal, going to keep it on the ground with John Douglas, and John Douglas will find the end zone. That is going to be a touchdown for your Rainbow Warriors. And so that will extend Hawaii's lead. And now the pressure is on this freshman quarterback. Kobayashi wants the crosser. And unfortunately, that crosser not only not there, this might be 7 points. Go in the opposite direction. And it is. He takes it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown, Wesley Atkins. And Kobayashi was not even in there. That was Clarence Brown. That's part of the reason why UCLA hasn't played at that, maybe not as high of a level as what we're accustomed to seeing, because that was their third string quarterback. So Kobayashi's got hurt. Their starter has been hurt for quite some time. So long that I forgot his name. That's how long that's been. And 24 points for Hawaii gets it done with ease. The Rainbow Warriors make a statement in Pac-12 conference action, and this win could very well propel them deep into the at-large conversation for the playoff. Okay, so I actually did lie. We did have one more game on the docket. It's a Sun Belt Conference matchup. It's Alabama taking on the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. Mississippi State trying to show that they can be a bowl-eligible team. Alabama's already accomplished that. They got that done. Winning this game could see Alabama get back into the top 25, but at 7-3, would Alabama really deserve to be ranked? You know what I'm saying? Like, there might be some other teams out there that might also should get some consideration. Maybe a Wake Forest, possibly, a Clemson if they haven't been ranked yet. You know, we haven't seen Clemson or Virginia Tech in this episode, but Mississippi State is looking to kind of shut the door on that pretty quickly. Mississippi State is looking to handle their business here in their home stadium, trying to play hard for the Lake Mike Leach, and just a type of offensive effort that could bring a tear to the eye. Mississippi State's going to take a 14-0 lead against the Crimson Tide. And the Bulldogs are just going to continue to pour it on. They can score again if they want to. They're going to throw over the middle, get it out to Will Mason. And Will Mason will make the first down conversion a whole lot easier. Just picking up 3 yards in 3 plays. Sure, if this Mississippi State team can do that, and they will with their tailback, John Huff, who finds the end zone. Touchdown, Bulldogs. And Mississippi State will make this lead even bigger, but we'll take a break from all that, from that beatdown that's happening. Let's check out some other things happening around the country. How about San Diego State, for example, beating Washington State? That means the Aztecs will be qualified for bowl eligibility. Can't say the same for the Cougars. Also, Oregon State beats Nevada, and then Ole Miss actually was in a tight one with Miami, but Ole Miss does hang on and win. Now, we get back to this beatdown that we've been seeing on Mississippi State's campus. Alabama down by 20 plus. They're not giving up, but this might be that solid case of too little too late. I mean, yes, they are going to go for the 2-point conversion, and they'll even get the 2-point conversion as well, but with 2 minutes left, it was always a hard sell to try to say that they'll come back and win this game. Bulldogs win 37-23. Alabama got cooked here. So it's been an exciting slate of action here in week number 11, but let's go ahead and take a look at some other scores that happened around the country. How about Nebraska continuing to dominate in American Conference play, beating up on Iowa State 52-17, as Iowa State will now need to win out to be bowl eligible. However, the Virginia Cavaliers will not have that same issue as they improve to 7-3, a pleasantly good season for the Cavaliers. They beat Eastern Carolina 59-17, as that part of the ACC conference suddenly becomes a lot more interesting now. As for the Northern Illinois Huskies, they climb back into the top 15 in the country, and they do so by beating Mid-Tennessee State 49-10. The Blue Raiders are in a same predicament of needing to win out to be bowl eligible. As for the Michigan Wolverines, they dominate the Indiana Hoosiers 44-14. That means your Michigan Wolverines are still undefeated, getting to 10-0 here in year number 4. Indiana still having a better season than last. As for their rivals in the Michigan State Spartans, they're able to beat Purdue 45-14. Because they managed to go ahead and do that, Michigan State keeps their bowl hopes alive. But you want to talk about making a statement, this would certainly be one. Wake Forest beats Virginia Tech convincingly 49-24, and it knocks Virginia Tech out of the top 25. Plus, Wake Forest has a divisional championship game next week against Clemson, which you will see on the channel for that next NCSL matchup. Big game coming up for the Demon Deacons. Speaking of which, Clemson moves up to number 22 in the nation as they blow out the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Clemson wins 55-17 as Clemson, like we said, will have that date with Wake Forest next episode. As for the North Carolina Tar Heels, they will secure bowl eligibility as they pitch a shutout against the Monarchs of Old Dominion. North Carolina wins this one 42-0. As for the Army Black Knights look in a prime position to go to the Conference USA Championship. Army wins 59-21 as Pittsburgh suffers their first loss in conference play. As for the Wisconsin Badgers, however, they'll climb into the top 15 as well. Having a dominant 10-1 season, they beat Central Michigan 38-21 and will likely play the Nebraska Cornhuskers in the American Conference Championship at this point. And shoot, what about the Houston Cougars? Houston finally getting some love as they rightfully enter the top 25. They blow out UTSA 52-24, and Houston joins the ranks of the top 25 teams in America late in year number 4. But Houston will have a challenging game next week as they will take on the Texas Longhorns, could decide the Lone Star Division in the Big 12. Texas is coming off of a dominant win, however, beating UTEP 38-10. So now we'll take a quick look at the top 25 polls to see what kind of changes have we witnessed thus far here as we get into the final stages of this regular season. Not a lot of change up at the very top, but starting at number 8, we start to see some muscle movement. Minnesota moves up 2 spots in spite of being on bye. Washington had that shootout against Fresno State. They move up 2 spots as well. Hawaii, on the other hand, jumps into the top 10, and they're in a prime spot to try and secure a at-large bid to the college football playoff. They will need to win their next 2 games to be a serious contender for that. As for the rest of the top 25, Ohio State, they move up a couple spots to number 13 in the country. They'll take on Cincinnati next week. Northern Illinois will also have a top 25 battle against Illinois, so could be a good battle in the MAC. NIU moves up to 14. Wisconsin up 3 spots after the Central Michigan win. UCLA having a big drop. They lose their 3rd game of the season, so they're likely out of the college football playoff hunt. Just looking to finish strong and build some momentum into year number 5 after winning the national championship last year. However, Arkansas is well in this fight as they move up 2 spots to number 17 in the country. They'll have a big game against LSU to decide the Bayou Division. As for Rice, they also move down 12 spots to 18. Still ranked, but on a little bit of thinner ice, however. Rounding out your group, though, is Oklahoma at 19. West Virginia at number 20. Texas up a couple of spots. They'll take on Houston. Clemson up 2 spots, and then 3 newcomers this week. The Florida Gators are back in, which the 5-4 record does look egregious. I get it. I absolutely get it. But they are 5-1 in matchups outside of teams that were ranked in the top 5 at the time that they played them. So Florida is a good team, better than what that record shows. Houston is in that top 25, and then Illinois gets in as well, which does kick out TCU, Utah, and Virginia Tech. But that will wrap up your week number 11 here in the NCSL, as we'll have some key matchups to look out for when we get into the next episode. But like I said, I'll save that for next time. It's been an exciting year number 4 as the chase for the college football playoff gets more intense in every moment. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, make sure you go ahead and smack that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button as well if you do have to be brand new. This is John J Gaming on the mic signing off. Hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.